budget. Indie film is fine. Like sometimes when you're in a press jacket, you know, like you just feel like nobody believes in you. And like you just feel like there's so many people in the room that just like stare you up and down, you know, but like out of the 99 people, you see that one person, and that one person was Bradley Cooper. So like, I thought I would read like a children's novel, because it'd be awesome. I thought I would read Roald Dahl, because I'm nostalgic. That's what I grew up on. Anybody feel like Matilda, BFG, Charlie and the Chocolate Factory? Any suggestions? Any loud women in the house? BFG? Okay. Did a birthday girl say that? Because that's what you get. Cool. Awesome. Cool. I always thought it was very interesting when I was growing up that all of Roald Dahl's books revolve around orphans. Matilda was kind of an orphan eventually. Like she chose to be an orphan. She made the choice. And then like, I believe Sophie in this book, she's an orphan as well. And I think like, Roald Dahl is really the reason why I'm really about women doing it for themselves, you know? Like, besides Madonna, I think I should also thank Roald Dahl. Madonna has a new song out. Does anyone like it? Does anyone know about it? I know, right? I know. But I want to like her so bad. I love her so much. Okay. The witching hour. Sophie couldn't sleep. A brilliant moonbeam was slanting through a gap in the curtains. It was shining right onto her pillow. The other children in the dormitory had been asleep for hours. Sophie closed her eyes and lay quite still. She tried very hard to doze off. It was no good. The moonbeam was like a silver blade slicing through the room onto her face. The house was absolutely silent. No voices came up from downstairs. There was no footstep on the floor above either. The window behind the curtain was wide open, but nobody was walking on the pavement outside. No cars went by on the street. Not even the tiniest sound could be heard anywhere. Sophie had never known such a silence. Perhaps, she told herself, this was what they call the witching hour. The witching, ooh, they used what they said the movie title would be in the movie, oh my gosh. Perhaps she told herself, this is what they call the witching hour. The witching hour, somebody had once whispered to her, was a special moment in the middle of the night where every child and every grown-up was in a deep, deep sleep. And all the dark things came out from hiding and had the world to themselves. The moonbeam was brighter than ever on Sophie's pillow. She decided to get out of her bed and close the gap in the curtains. You got punished if you were caught in your bed after lights out. Even if you said you had to go to the lavatory, that was not accepted as an excuse and they punished you just the same. But there was no one about now. Sophie was sure of that. She reached out from her glasses that lay on the chair beside her bed. They had steel rims and very thick lenses, and she could hardly see a thing without them. She put them on, and she slipped out of bed and tiptoed over to the window. When she reached to the curtains, Sophie hesitated. She longed to duck underneath them and lean out the window to see what the world would be like, that the witching hour was now at hand. She listened again. Everything and everywhere. It was deathly still. The longing to look out became so strong she could not resist. Quickly, she ducked underneath the curtains and leaned out the window. In the silvery moonlight, the village street she knew so well seemed completely different. The houses looked bent and crooked, like houses in a fairy tale. Everything was pale and ghostly and milky white. Across the road, she can see Mrs. Rentz's shop, where you bought buttons and wool and bits of elastic. It didn't look real. There was something dim and misty about that too. Sophie allowed her eye to travel further and further down the street. Suddenly she froze. There was something coming down the street on the opposite side. There was something black, something tall and dark, something very tall and very black and very thin. It wasn't human. It couldn't be. It was 4 times as tall as human. It was so tall its head was higher than the upstairs window of the houses. Sophie opened her mouth to scream, but no sound came out. Her throat, like her whole body, was frozen with fright. This was the witching hour, all right. The tall black figure was coming her way. It was keeping very close to the houses across the street, hiding in the shadowy places where there was no moonlight. On and on it came, nearer and nearer. And it was moving in spurts. It would stop, then it would move on, then it would stop again. But what on earth was it doing? Aha! Sophie could see now what it was up to. It was stopping in front of each house. It would stop and peer into the upstairs window of each house in the street. It actually had to bend down to peer into the upstairs windows. That's how tall it was. It would stop and peer in. Then it would slide onto the next house and stop again, and peer in, and so on all along the street. It was much closer now, and Sophie could see more clearly. Looking at it carefully now, she decided it had to be some kind of person. Obviously it was not human, but it was definitely a person. A giant person, perhaps. Sophie stared hard across the milky, misty moonlit street. The giant, if that was what he was wearing a long black coat. In one hand, he was holding what looked like a very long, thin trumpet. In the other hand, he held a large suitcase. The giant had stopped now right in front of Mr. and Mrs. Gucci's girl house. The Gucci's had a greengrocer's shop in the middle of High Street, and the family lived above the shop. The 2 Gucci children slept in the upstairs front room. Sophie knew that. The giant was peering through the window into the room where Michael and Jean Gucci were sleeping. From across the street, Sophie watched and held her breath. The Gucci children until they could get stashed. She saw the giant step back in his supreme sweater. He snatched the Gucci children and decided to sell them on eBay. He bent over and opened the suitcase. He took something out of it. It looked like a glass jar. One of those square ones with a screw top. He unscrewed the top of the jar and poured what was in it in the end of a long trumpet thing. Sophie watched trembling. She saw the giant straighten up again, and she saw him poke the trumpet in through the open upstairs window of the room where the Gucci children were sleeping. She saw the giant take a deep breath and woof. He blew through the trumpet. No noise came out, but it was obvious to Sophie that whatever had been in the jar had now been blown through the trumpet to the Gucci children's bedroom. What could it be? As the giant withdrew the trumpet, their dreams, spoiler alert. So I know we live in a super triggering time. It's a dream. He's blowing a dream to the kids' room, just so you know. Spoiler alert, sorry, but just so you know. It's a dream. Calm down. As the giant withdrew the trumpet from the window and bent down to pick up the suitcase, he happened to turn his head and glance across the street. In the moonlight, Sophie caught a glimpse of an enormous, long, pale, wrinkly face with the most enormous ears. The nose was as sharp as a knife, and above the nose there were 2 bright, flashing eyes, and the eyes were staring straight at Sophie. There was a fierce and devilish look about them. Sophie gave a yelp and pulled back from the window. She flew across the dormitory and jumped into her bed and hid underneath the blanket. And there she crouched, still as a mouse and tingling all over. My friend that works with me and is leaving me forever in 2 weeks from Germany is here. And he's never seen me in drag before, so thanks for coming. Because you're here, I will do a second song that is not planned, if that's okay. Is that okay? Do we have time?
Sure.
Is that okay?
Yeah. I
Okay.
don't have the music bill, so you'll have to give it to Steven.
I can arrange this.